Eva took the bundle and held them to her heart, her eyes glistening.
You were always special to her.
Charles smiled, then turned to Jim.
And son, I know you've been dying to know what's in the package these good folks brought. I think it's time.
Jim needed no further encouragement. He picked up the box from where it had sat at his feet since before supper, when his father first instructed him to be patient. In a flash, Jim opened the box and pulled out a bucket-like contraption with the words North Pole Freezer printed on the side and a crank handle with 1910 stamped on it. Jim's eyebrows came together like a puzzle. "What is it?" Charles and Eva laughed. "It's an ice cream maker," she said, as though it were the sort of thing everyone should know. "Ice cream?" Jim looked stumped. "Well, I love ice cream. I mean, I've only tried it a few times when the fair comes to town. But what they make it in doesn't look anything like this." Charles explained how the machine worked. A person placed the cream and sugar in a cylinder inside the bucket, then added ice or snow around the cylinder, plus salt to make the ice melt faster. Then they turned the crank continuously while melted ice leaked out the little hole in the side of the bucket. "Well, we've got plenty of cream. But where can we find ice this time of year?" Jim examined the gears.
"I think we can manage to round some up," Charles said. "But first, you all need to hear the story behind this gadget."
"I thought you'd never get to that part." Cornelia turned to Eva. "Why did you say this belonged to us?" "I'll let your dad tell it," Eva replied and smiled in Charles's direction.
"Let's see if I can remember all the details right."
Charles paused and looked at his children with a grin.
"Mrs. Roberts, your mother and I were all in the same Sunday school class at Roseburg Christian Church. We were, about 12 or 13?
Mrs. Roberts nodded.
The Sunday school superintendent was old man Jacob, Elsie Jacob's father. Somehow he'd acquired this fantastic ice cream maker and offered it as a prize to the student who could memorize the most scripture over the course of the year."
Cornelia tried to picture her father at Jim's age, knowing Jim's dislike for memorization of any kind.
Old man Jacob made the offer in September, and the ice cream maker would be presented at the Sunday school picnic in June.
Charles continued.
Naturally, we all wanted it, although some of us were a lot more disciplined about memorizing than others.
"Most of all, we didn't want Elsie Jacob to win it," Eva laughed.
Well, now, that's true, too. Old man Jacob was convinced his daughter was the smartest, finest young lady in the whole Sunday school and would win the machine hands down. He figured he'd be able to enjoy the ice cream while still looking like a hero for having come up with such a great prize.
Charles chuckled.
Poor girl probably never felt so much pressure in her life.
"Poor girl," Eva interrupted. "Her opinion of herself was even higher than her father's. Nobody wanted to see her win. Your mother and I went to work memorizing verses immediately, quizzing each other at every opportunity. Recess time, mostly. But I'm sorry, Charles, you're telling this." The three youthful faces around the table all turned back to Charles. Cornelia wondered if Jim and Henry were imagining their parents as children, like she was.
"Well, I wanted that ice cream maker, and so did half a dozen other boys. But by Easter, it was pretty clear that only 2 of us were still in the running."
"You and Eddie Hoffman," Eva laughed. "But there were at least 8 of us girls still in." "Sorry, you tell it." Charles smiled.
"You can go ahead and tell it, you know."
"Well, okay, if you insist." Eva scooted forward in her chair. "The elimination round was held 2 weeks before the picnic. We kids stood at the front of the church and recited scripture as Mr. Jacob called out the reference for each passage.
If you missed more than 2 words in any given passage, you were out,"
Charles added. By the end of the round, 5 contestants were still standing. Mrs. Roberts counted them off on her fingers. Your father, your mother, Eddie Hoffman, Elsie Jacob, and me. We worked like crazy for the next week. Competition got fierce. It wasn't so much about the ice cream maker anymore.
"Speak for yourself,"
Charles laughed.